There, I knew I was
Uh,
forgetting something. There we go. Okay. Hey, Lucy.
Hi, Brian.
It's
Hello.
been a minute. We actually met, I think through BNI, right? Didn't we meet through BNI?
Yeah, several years ago,
Yeah,
long time ago.
I haven't done it in a bit. Are you still doing it?
No, I was in BNI for like 8 years, and then it just the business got too big, and there was only one of me, and to go to all the meetings, and yeah, I miss it. Still have some really good friends from BNI.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great when you can get up there, and certain me too. I keep in touch with a bunch of those people, but like you, it was just hard to. It's hard to make the time when you're really
Hmm.
busy.
Yeah,
Um, so I want to talk about your background and your your career and how you got there. So you have had a long career that spans public accounting. Oops, your recording stopped. You got an incoming call.
I had an incoming call. How do I
Okay.
turn that off?
Just hit do not disturb, I guess.
I figured, let me try that. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I think I'm gonna put it on like an airplane mode, and then just with the Wi-Fi on.
If you put it on airplane mode, I won't be able to connect with you on internet.
Well, now it says recording. I'm so sorry about this. Take it off Wi-Fi. Put it on and put it on Wi-Fi. Give me 1 second. All right, how about now?
Perfect. All right.
Okay, so sorry about that.
No worries. So, hey, Lucy, as I was saying, I wanted to talk a little bit about your background and your career. So, your career has spanned a couple of different areas. It spans public accounting,
Yeah.
business management, and tax law. How did your journey unfold, and what inspired you to become both a CPA and an attorney?
Yeah, I started out as an accountant and really enjoy accounting. And when I first studied accounting, I was financial accounting. I hated tax. I wanted nothing to do with tax. But I took a class and I started volunteering at a nonprofit program for um, low income families, helping low income families with their taxes for free. And I came to really like it and enjoy it. Tax is so complex. You could spend a lifetime learning and not know the entire code. And when you think you know it, they change it.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong career. It was true that that program, the nonprofit program, helping low income families. I was running the program. I had my CPA practice at that point, and I had been running the program for about 10 years or so. And I really wanted to help my clients with their tax problems. And I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the skills, I did not have the credentials to help them. And that was a big drive to go into law school and get the credentials and the training to really make a difference in those clients' lives.
When you when you decided to go to law school, where'd you go to law school?
I went to South Texas College of Law here in Houston.
Awesome, awesome,
I was an
great
older
trial advocacy
student.
program.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I did go through the trial advocacy program and I loved it and I had so much fun. I actually had a lot of fun in law school. I really enjoyed it. I think
I did too.
because yeah, I was an older student. Were you did you go young or did you go later in life?
I didn't go right out of law school. I worked for about 4 years. I think I always wanted to go, but then I kind of I worked offshore and I did some sales. In the back of my mind, though, I always wanted to go. So I took about 4 years off. I started law school when I was 27. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I graduated when I was 29, and then I
Did
turned 30 like right after.
Do you feel that having those extra work years made a difference in how you approach law school?
I think so. You know, well, I went to Thurgood, and I remember all these people telling me because I was working while I was in law school. I was waiting tables. Actually, at one point, I had three jobs. I was waiting tables at PF Chang's, and then my 3L year, I was also a law librarian at an energy company, and then I also, at the same time, was a research assistant for my con law professor. So, and I remember people were telling me, "Man, what are you doing? You're going to curve out," you know. But I'm one of those people who, the busier I am, the better I do. And if I have idle time, I don't do well with it. So maybe that helped me. Maybe if I'd, kind of had that college mentality where you just get out and you're going to bars all the time and
Yeah.
kind of goofing off, maybe I wouldn't have done as well. Not to say that I didn't go to bars in law school. I sure did, but
That is funny. Yeah, I went to school part time, and I worked through law school, and I paid as I went, which was really
wow,
nice. It was really nice to not have student loans. It was hard. It took me longer to finish. It took me 4 years to finish,
which is normal
and
for part time, right?
yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was nice to not have the student loans. But also, I really feel that having those extra years of work, having had a career before law school, not only made me appreciate more, but also understand the law better. um, Having some notion of what it's like to be in the workplace, or banking contracts and general business. That really helped. So I'm grateful
Well,
for
you
that.
already have to know the law when you're a CPA. I mean, that's a big, that's very very law adjacent.
It
Um,
really is. There's a
yeah,
lot of crossover. Most days I don't know when I'm practicing accountancy or when I'm practicing law. They really
yeah.
intertwine on a daily basis. Yeah, but it was really nice to be able to combine the law and the accounting, and the being of service component of my mission in life is to be of service. And when I was doing the nonprofit work, that was my drive, and to go to law school. And I am so happy that I was able to translate that into the work that I do today, and making a difference in our clients' lives. It's extremely rewarding, and it keeps us going and gives us meaning. Um, and you would have never thought you could do that with accounting and tax. But yeah, but here we are.
So, what were some of the biggest challenges in those early days in law school and immediately thereafter?
Well, I was exhausted all the time, working, running a CPA practice. Um, I was also very sick with an autoimmune disorder called Graves' disease, and it was hard, and I wasn't diagnosed right away. Um, so that was really difficult. I'm great now, thank goodness. I feel
Well,
better.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but and I was also having a lot of eye problems. I was slowly going blind, losing my eyesight in law
Oh my
school,
god.
and it was crazy. It was crazy. I can see well now. Thank goodness. I'm very grateful for that. So definitely a challenge. The health, the maintaining a practice, getting through law school. But I loved law school. I loved intellectual exercise, the discussions we would have. Um, yeah, it was fun.
So, did South Texas make special accommodations for you? I mean, because of your eyesight?
No, I didn't know. I did not realize it was one day in class, and there was something on the PowerPoint, and it was in blue, and I could not see the color blue. It was like it was right there, but I could not see it. It was just crazy. They did. I did not even think to ask for accommodations. I did not even know what kind of accommodations they could make, and I didn't want to stop. I did have a couple of surgeries my last semesters, um, and that helped a lot. But yeah, You just adapt, I guess.
You,
Sounds
you
terrible.
adapted very well. Wow, that's really awesome. I didn't even know that. That's amazing.
I hadn't thought about
Um,
this in a really long time, and I laugh about it now, but it was like it was traumatic at the time. But I'm glad I can laugh
yeah.
about it. Jeez.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. No, I'm glad you were able to put all that behind you and and be successful despite having to deal with that in law school. So now you've also taught tax courses at the graduate level, right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
did.
how has that influenced your perspective as a practicing lawyer?
I absolutely, it definitely made me a better professional. Um, it's one thing to know the law, it's something else to practice and apply the law, and it is something completely different to have to explain it to somebody else as a student to learn the law and to practice the law. And it definitely made me a better professional to really get into the weeds of how someone may understand and perceive the law. And then that was a lot of fun. And I am so happy whenever I run into a student and they said, "Oh, I went into tax because of you. You made it sound so exciting." And I'm like, "I'm so sorry." But I really love hearing and running into those students who felt inspired to pursue a career in taxation because I made it somehow fun or understandable to them. And I was also adjunct at a South Texas College of Law clinic as well. When I was in law school, I started a clinic for low income taxpayers to have their taxes done for free. And the students would prepare the taxes and they would get hands on experience and get credit for the work. So that was really nice. That clinic, it's still going to this day. And I'm so proud of it.
Is it tough to take your lawyer hat off when you're talking to these graduate students? I mean, is it tough? Because I know I find even when I'm talking to potential new clients, I'll speak in acronyms. I'll speak in like criminal lawyer shorthand. People are like, What does that mean?" And then I have to catch myself. No, I'm sorry. This is what that means. And then, but maybe less so because of there's so much overlap between tax and law anyway. Maybe, or is
Yeah.
it still challenging?
I don't know that it's challenging. I think for us as professionals, we it's an art to be able to convey the information we want to convey in words that the clients and students can understand. You and I could cite all sorts of codes and law and acronyms, like you said, and Latin words, and our clients would
Yeah.
just stare back at us, and nothing would get through. So it is definitely a skill to be able to navigate the information that we want to present and how we can actually be understood by the clients. It's a challenge.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, you take for granted that most clients are not sophisticated in the legal sense, and as intelligent as they may be, they're not lawyers. And you speak to them, and it's definitely um, it can be confusing to them. And I think a lot of people too are afraid to kind of say, "Hey, what does that mean?" And they'll just sit there and nod their
Yeah.
heads, and then they walk away going, what did he just say?"
Yeah.
So what's one myth about tax law or IRS representation that you wish more people understood?
Okay. First of all, there's no such thing as secrets the IRS doesn't want you to know. They do not care. They're too busy. They are not hiding anything from you. There's nothing that they don't want you to know because, God forbid, you take advantage of some kind of loophole. No, there's no such thing. Um, the IRS is not as evil as people think. Their job is to collect money to run the government. That is their job. That's what they were created by Congress to do. And their job is to enforce the laws. It's just like being mad at law enforcement for the police for enforcing the laws. That's what they do, and
And a
that is
lot of
their
my clients
purpose.
do get mad at that.
Yeah, well, it's true, true. I can, and sometimes understandably. I don't like paying taxes like everybody
Yeah,
else. I do not
me either.
enjoy paying taxes. And yes, I do resent the IRS because they're the treasury. I have to write that stupid check too. But but it is their job. And most of the people who work there, they're just trying their best. They are trying to get their work done and go home to their families like everybody else. Um, so that is one thing people I don't know they understand that it is futile to be mad at a faceless government agency.
I got audited once, and it was because all these years I'd worked at a firm. I started out working for a law firm. I worked for a couple of firms before I went out on my own. So I did my W-2. My taxes were easy, and then I went out on my own, and then they're not anymore. And I didn't have a CPA, and I thought I could do it myself, and clearly I couldn't. I've had one now for 10 or 15 years, but at first I didn't. And it was, I mean, and that's actually how I found him, because he was somebody I used to run with. Literally, we ran a marathon together. And so when I kind of ran afoul of the IRS because I didn't do things the right way, he was like, "Well, come on, let me help you out." And then he actually got me out of a jam with them, and it was just like I just filed the wrong things. I didn't do it the right way, and then he fixed it for me, and now he's been my CPA for more than a decade. Which, if you're out on your own, you need a CPA. I mean, that's just the reality
Yeah,
of it. Everything's
you
complicated.
do. It gets pretty complicated pretty fast. And I think it is so unfair because it used to be you would get, this old, but you'd get the paperwork in the mail and fill it out yourself. And over the years, things just gotten so complicated and so out of control. It's really unfair to the population how complicated our tax code has become. But yeah, you can get out of hand. You can get in trouble really quickly as a self-employed individual, as an entrepreneur. How long have you had your firm now?
I guess I completely went out on my own. I kind of flirted with it a little bit here and there. I did a little like, and this is actually why I got audited, because I was doing like court appointments where I was getting 1099 stuff going on, but at the same time I was doing contract work. I was getting W-2s for, and then like kind of doing that all at the same time. And then they were like, "Well, you're not self-employed. How can you claim self-employed?" But I was self-employed. I was taking court appointments. I was just kind of doing hybrid. Um, but so that is to say that I started dipping my toe in it probably around 2011, 2012, started doing like court appointments. But I formed my PLLC and, set up my tax entity and all that in 2016. So it's been
10
10 years.
years. 10
Yeah.
years. Hey, you have to
Yeah.
celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be, God, it's like next month, 10 years. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Do you love
Yeah.
it?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, as being self-employed, there's a whole different kind of stress that you don't have when somebody else is paying you. Um, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, but I couldn't go back. I couldn't. I don't think at this point in my life I could go back to working for a firm and not having the kind of control that I have for my practice now, and doing things the way that I want to do and hiring who I want to hire. Um, and, even down to the small little things like the software you use and just everything. I like to do it my way. I think the way I do it is the right way, and I don't want anybody else to tell me how to do it. And but that said, yeah, all the like running a business stuff, there's a whole other level of stress to that. I'm sure.
Yeah. Running a
Yeah.
business is so hard. You have to do the marketing, the accounting, the human resources, the payroll, the cleaning
Yes.
of the office,
Yes. Yeah. I have staff, and
everything.
yeah, if y'all are watching, I do clean up after y'all too. And sometimes they do it themselves.
That is funny. That is funny. Um,
So now your firm handles everything from compliance to controversy. So how do you break down those areas for listeners who might not know the difference?
yeah, so compliance means the tax return preparation. From a simple one W-2 tax return to a very complex multi-jurisdictional corporation, um, we have the capability of handling those complex tax returns that some CPAs don't want to touch. We do my favorite thing to do is fighting the IRS, the tax controversy work. From receiving an IRS letter or going through an audit, um, to owing a lot of money to the government, we really enjoy working that side of the practice. A very common scenario for us, and people are surprised when I tell them this, but this is very common. For someone to walk through the doors and say, I don't know when was the last time I filed, or I haven't filed in 10 years. And yeah, there's a lot of fear that comes with that situation. There's embarrassment, um, and but it is very common, and that's the first thing I tell them. You are not alone. This happens all the time. It is more common than you think, and it's very, very common with entrepreneurs. It is very common with attorneys as well, especially those that get paid in cash. Um, you go into business and you may not know that you have to set money aside, about 30% of your money that it's going to go towards taxes. And when they realize it snowballs. They stop filing, and several years later they want to buy a home, or the IRS is knocking on their door because they haven't filed and haven't paid in a long time. Another situation where people stop filing is a traumatic event: divorce, sickness, loss of a loved one. Traumatic events can trigger, they just become so overwhelmed with whatever is happening in their lives that that filing taxes is the last thing in their mind, and they just stop. So these
I get
scenarios are
that.
very, yeah, it happens. It's very common, and I really enjoy working on these cases, Brian, because there are some things we can do to mitigate the liability. So, for example, it's an internal policy of the IRS to not require all years to be filed. We may get away with filing 3 to 6 years only. That can save a lot of money. We may be able to ask for penalty abatement if we can explain the reason for not filing. And then we can put the client on an installment plan that they can afford. It's really difficult to get forgiveness of the taxes. Do not believe, please do not believe the radio and the TV saying pennies on the dollar. It's really, really difficult to get that. But we can get a reasonable installment agreement that you can live with.
That's what I did too.
Yeah, I mean
That's what I did too.
that's how it goes. But we really enjoy working on those cases because we really feel the difference it makes in a client's lives.
Can you share a memorable client case without any confidential details that illustrates how strategic planning changed the outcome for a business or an individual?
All the time. We do this all the time as well. and with attorneys in particular, um, choice of entity. Um, when you reach a certain revenue level, you can change how you are taxed from being a sole proprietor to being an S corporation. And that saves thousands and thousands of dollars. And sometimes we can be retroactive and actually get you paid back for a number of years. We do this all the time, and it's very common for our clients to get tens of thousands of dollars back when we switch their type of entity. There are different planning strategies that we can do. Um, that alone may not be dramatic, but cumulatively, a little bit here, a little bit there, make a huge difference in the long run. Um, yeah, that's very rewarding to do as well.
Yeah, I started out as a sole proprietor as well, but I've been an S corp for
There we
a
go.
few years now. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a natural progression. And I love when a client comes to me and they're not an S Corp, and I'm like, hey, we're about to get you some money and save you a lot of money.
What's the trigger? I for me it was getting payroll once because I started out and it was just me. I didn't have anybody working for me, and then I hired a legal assistant, and then I hired another legal assistant, and then I hired a couple of associates. And it's somewhere in there. My CPA was like, "Yeah, no, it's time. You know, you need to." Is that generally the trigger once you start paying people?
No, for me, it's a revenue trigger of net profit, revenue and net profit. There is a crossover break-even point around $75,000 of net profit, where the additional cost of running payroll and keeping books for an S corp and paying for an additional tax return equals the tax savings. And that is at about $50,000 to $75,000 of net profit. And this is not just for lawyers; this is for all entrepreneurs, for sole proprietors out there. That's usually where the additional cost equals the tax savings for the business.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so what for entrepreneurs just starting out, what's one tax strategy that they should prioritize in year one?
I don't know if it's necessarily a tax strategy, but this is where the lawyer comes in. You have to have an LLC. Do not be out there doing whatever you do. Power washing, LLC. I don't
Yeah.
know, cutting grass, LLC. Whatever you're doing, selling ads, LLC. Do not operate without one. It's very cheap to get an LLC, and the cost versus
And if you're a
benefit.
lawyer or a CPA or a doctor, I guess you can be a PLLC, which is what I am, which is a professional legal liability. And that's the extent of my knowledge about tax right there is I'm a PLLC. That is unique to us.
Yes,
The lawyers, professionals, tax people, I guess people in the medical field too,
yeah.
can be PLLCs.
Therapists, any
Uh,
therapists, chiropractors, mental health. All of those are professional LLCs, which is the same as an LLC, but for professionals. Yeah. So that would be my number one advice from the beginning. Set up an LLC for a little bit of protection, or well, a lot of protection for a little bit of
a lot of
money.
protection. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So do not operate without one. And then the second advice would be to keep track of your money. Whether it's a spreadsheet or QuickBooks, whatever software you want to use, I would say keep track. You need to know where the money's coming from and where it's going, and keep good records. Having data, it's not just records, it's data that can give you insight into your business. A lot of people are operating not knowing if they're making money or not. They look at their bank account, but that's not. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, I know. I know. Sometimes I'll see I have, oh, man, that's a lot of revenue I got that year. And then I come back and my CPA goes, nah, you didn't make that much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that
After you pay all the bills and do the taxes and everything, it's not as, it's not the same number.
Yeah, you need
Um,
to know those.
and like you said, I do QuickBooks Online.
Hmm.
LawPay does good integration to, so all my credit card receipts that come in are all, I'm tracking it all, or my CPA is tracking it all.
Yeah.
So in recent years, we've seen some new tax laws and reporting requirements like the Corporate Transparency Act. How should small businesses be preparing for this new landscape?
Yeah, so the Corporate Transparency Act is that has been around most developed. The similar law has been around most developed countries, and the IRS is the last has been pretty much the last one to implement this law, which is now pretty much suspended. They said they're not going to enforce it at the moment. um, I think it will come back around in the future, different administrations. Basically, what it does is it removes the anonymity of owning a business. This law seeks to find out who is the ultimate beneficial owner of an LLC. So you cannot have a shell company um, without letting the government know who ultimately benefits, who ultimately owns that business. Here in the US, we enjoy a lot of uh, um, anonymity in owning businesses and LLCs. It's really difficult to find out who ultimately owns it. And you can route it through offshore companies and layer it with corporations and partnerships and all sorts of entity structures. And that's what this law seeks to do. It seeks to ultimately report to the government who owns these entities. I am not against it. I think it is I think it is actually a good thing. I think it will help us track down people who are evading taxes, people who are laundering money, hiding money, or in divorces and fraudulent transactions. I think it's actually a good thing.
No, it's definitely a good thing. I mean, it takes the shadiness out of the equation when you're doing business, or at least mitigates it. I
Yeah,
don't. Yeah, I definitely don't see the harm in enacting, enforcing that. That seems like it's good for everybody. Well,
yeah. Have you
maybe not the shady guys. It's not so good for the shady
right?
guys, but
Have you ever had trouble tracking down assets because of difficult structures like that, or that you couldn't reach assets for any reason?
no, no, no. I do criminal defense for the most part, and I briefly did personal injury defense. I worked for I'm not even going to say who it was. I worked for a carrier, a mid-sized carrier and we did insurance defense, car accident, stuff like that. And I think the plaintiff's attorneys had an interest in that, a bigger interest in that, because they're the ones trying to recover the money. But as a criminal defense attorney, it's not really something I deal with. Thankfully, I mean, that would be an additional pain in my rear that I just don't want to deal with.
I
But
can
thankfully, yeah,
imagine.
I get paid up front for the most part, so not really an issue on my end.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good. That is good. I guess
I try to.
that's
I try to.
yeah, it's a good business model that you don't have to be tracking down money payments. Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
Do do you have
Um,
a favorite type of case that you like to work on?
yeah, most of my stuff. I mean, I'd say the majority of my practice overwhelmingly is DWI. So any kind of intoxication related offenses, lots of DWI, occasional intoxication, assault, stuff like that. We do other criminal offense too. I handle a lot of family violence cases, but I'd say 7 out of 10 of my cases probably DWI for the most part, and that's the way it's been since I opened.
It can get pretty
So
technical, right? The DWI
yeah,
defense.
yeah. I went through a whole program through the American Chemical Society, or it's designated through the American Chemical Society. It's lawyer scientists. There's like 3 dozen of us in the state. Maybe like a couple of hundred of us in the whole United States, and there's some in Canada too. And you have to do about 160 hours of training in a lab in Chicago, and then
Oh,
you have to pass a
wow.
test. But then if you do all that, you get designated by the American Chemical Society as a lawyer scientist.
Lawyer
Um,
scientist.
that's yeah, no, it's a real thing. I'll tell people sometimes. Like I've told some people in the scientific community that I know, kind of on a friendly basis, like friends of friends, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm a lawyer scientist. And they're like, that's not a thing. I'm like, I swear to God, Google it. I'm a lawyer scientist. It's
I think
American
you need a
Chemical
lab
Society.
coat or something that,
Yeah.
lab
Well,
something.
there's pictures of me from my training in a lab coat, which
Oh
I
my
should use on
goodness.
social media more.
I love
um,
that. Love it.
uh, so, what leadership lessons have you learned running your firm that you think may apply to any business leader, not just in the law?
Yeah. I when I started out my farm after working in corporate America for so long, I didn't want I didn't want it to be a place where people dread going to work. Um, I think we've all had those days when you're just like, I just hate that place. I don't want to go. Don't want to walk through those doors.
No, definitely.
And I never wanted for my firm to be that place for anybody. I wanted to create an environment where people did not dread going to work, where people could be themselves and pursue their lives and interests outside of work as well. But for it to be collaborative and a place that I myself look forward to going to every day. And that changed my life because I look forward to going to work every day. I look forward to getting here. I don't dread working, and my quality of life is excellent because of that. It makes a huge difference. I also believe in growing our employees. Everybody is incentivized to study, to get additional credentials, to pursue um, professional interests, and we pay for the education for them to do so. At some
Oh, that's
point,
great.
yeah, at some point, everybody here was in school. All of us were in school and doing one thing or another. And I love it. We all learn and grow together. We learn something new every day, and sharing that knowledge makes us better together. That sounds like a slogan or something. Better together.
No,
Something.
no. I'll tell you what. Like I said, I've been doing this for a decade, completely on my own. I mean, I have staff, and I have, I have one attorney working for me now. I had two at one point. Uh, Even though it is stressful and it is a different stress, I mean, you are responsible for the livelihood of your staff, of your attorneys. You have to make it rain and pay the bills and pay the rent and bring in the business. And that's all a different kind of stress. But to say that I enjoy the stress is a stretch. That's I wouldn't say I enjoy being stressed, but compared to, because I've worked for a firm where I dreaded going to work there. Like, I would Google, you know, how do I how do I go to a job that I hate? What do I do? And so, like, it would be like, well, listen to some music you like on the way to work, and don't listen to the news because that'll bum you out, And so I wouldn't listen to the news. I would just listen to music. I would like try and take like a lunch and clear my head because I hated it. That was when I first started looking into going on my own. Um, and to be clear, the first firm I worked at was great. I loved it. I loved it. I actually loved the first firm I worked at. And if it weren't for tort reform, who knows, I might still be there. Tort reform kind of ended that business. I was in toxic tort. Um, but but like you said, I mean, I I love my job now, and I love the business part of it too, and all the stress that comes with it. It's just part of it. But yeah, I think anybody who's been doing it as long as you have is doing it because they love it. I mean, you love it, right?
I really
So
do.
yeah.
I really, really do. Um, Sorry, I have my doggy right here with me, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
growling. Let me
Mine's
bring him
around
around.
here somewhere too. I don't know where she is.
He's growling, but he's Chewy. He comes to work every day.
Oh,
Sorry, he was
hey
growling.
Chewy.
So
Yeah, no, hey, I love dogs. Um, so you are fluent in Spanish and Portuguese, right?
That is
Is that right?
correct. I grew
Oh
up
my
in
God!
Brazil.
Wow!
I grew up in Brazil, in São Paulo, big city. I think it was 17 million people or so at the time. I
Wow!
learned how to take the subway before I learned how to ride a bike. Yeah, so I grew up there, and I came to the US in the 90s to go to school, and then I learned English, and then I learned Spanish watching soap operas, las novelas.
What?
Yeah, I was working on doing my pro bono nonprofit work, and I wanted to serve the clients, so I started learning Spanish, and yeah, and it's been really helpful.
So my mom spoke Spanish, and my dad did not. So they never spoke to each other. So I just didn't pick it up.
It
I can
happens.
cuss. I can cuss in Spanish, and I can order beers and ask where the bathroom is. But the extent, that's probably the extent of it. And anything I learned in college, which is long forgotten.
You probably
But my
know more than you realize.
I have an easier time reading it. If
Mhm.
I can read it and at least kind of figure out in general what I'm looking at, but I just can't speak it. I can't. I'm not.
Yeah,
I can't converse. But
yeah,
my mom,
it's
what I was gonna say, my mom watched those shows. She would watch those telenovelas, and she kind of watched them loud. So I just hear Spanish kind of loud. I'm like, oh, come on, just put on something we can all watch, But yeah, I mean, she enjoyed it. And there's kind of there's a whole like SNL skit about it. Some of it's like really overacting. It's really dramatic, but she loved them. I mean, she was
It's
totally into
also
them.
addictive. It's
Yeah.
addictive. So this, when I started watching the novellas, this is before the before digital recording. So it was the VCR,
That's how my mom
and
recorded them. Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to record the VCRs. They were so complicated, but I had to rush home to watch the soap opera so I wouldn't miss it. Yeah, because there was no catching it later. You miss it, you miss it. We're very spoiled now, but that was it was very addictive. I don't know what the formula is or how they do it. The stories are not that complicated, but yeah, it was a great
You,
way to learn
you
it.
don't even need to understand Spanish. I think you can just hear the music. The music will tell you how you're supposed to be feeling because it'll get
And the
real serious
looks,
all of a sudden. Yeah, the
the
looks, the looks.
looks,
I'm like, oh yes, something bad just happened.
right?
She had a stack of VHS tapes from all the shows she recorded, and she didn't ever really get to like most of them.
Yeah,
But
where was she
I
from?
couldn't touch them. I couldn't record on them.
Right, right. Where was she from? Where's she from?
Well, she grew up in Corpus Christi, but my
Okay.
grandmother, her mother was from Mexico. So she grew up bilingual. I mean, my mom, because my grandmother, if she spoke English at all, it was barely,
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh, so my mom spoke English, fluently, but she also spoke Spanish fluently. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, and she'd speak to her sisters in Spanish, and I could tell when they were talking about me too. But I didn't know what they were saying. I just knew they were saying something about me.
Right. That is
Yeah,
too
but my
funny.
dad didn't speak any Spanish, so he was as in the dark as I was. I don't think he
Yeah.
cared.
Did you grow up here in Houston, Brian?
I grew up in Corpus and
Yeah.
Corpus Christi, which you may know it's a very Hispanic community. I mean, when I was growing up, it was probably like 50%. I'd say it's probably like 60 or 70% now Hispanic.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Well, I'll tell you, I think one day that's probably where I want to retire. If and when that day ever comes, that's where I want to go back because
By the
I loved it.
beach.
Oh, it was great. It's great. I go
Yeah.
back and visit when I can. I love it. I really love it.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, um,
It's
but so now I just saw this. This is crazy. You're an advanced diver and a pilot.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
I
my!
wanted to
How,
be a commercial pilot at some point. I come from a family of aviation. My dad was a pilot. My mom's a flight attendant for 35 years. And I certainly did not want to be a flight attendant. So I wanted to be a pilot. And I set out to train as a commercial pilot and did that. I didn't fly for an airline. But at some point, I decided I did not like the pay and I didn't like the hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I think isn't it the case that if you're like at the tip top, you're making good money, but if you're kind of like, not at the top rung, you're the discrepancy is pretty big, right?
Yeah, and it takes a long, long time to get there. So yeah, so I decided to be a CPA and a lawyer instead, but the hours are just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, at least
but
it's
no,
easier to plan your day. You know where you're going to start your day and end your day.
yeah, we had no holidays, the family. There was no, I mean, Christmas. We usually celebrated Christmas, but all the other holidays, it just meant nothing to us. Um, yeah, it was hard on me and my brother as children because our parents were gone a lot. But yeah, yeah, it is a fun career, and I would later go on to fly for fun. And my ex and I had a plane, and that was nice. And we
You
flew
owned
all
it?
over the place.
That's
We
awesome.
owned it.
Was it like a little Cessna or something?
Cessna with two engines. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and that was fun to
Is that
fly
one of
around.
those two seaters with a little tiny seat where you can put your luggage in the back and that's about it?
A little bit bigger than that, but
Okay.
but not much, not much. It was a Cessna 310 for those who know and understand. And my
That's awesome.
daughter, of all the sports that a girl could play in Texas, she chose ice hockey. Ice hockey in Houston. Anyway, she was on the travel team, so we would fly her to the different practices and tournaments. That was a fun time. Um, I think I would like to go back to flying by a plane again. My vision, Brian, is maybe get a house in Port Aransas or something like that, and then keep a plane here, and then just fly there for the weekend and come back. There's a nice little airport in Port Aransas.
I love Port A. Port A is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I just need to find a time to do that. Maybe be a more of a retirement thing or slowing down time later in life. Yeah, yeah. Do you like to fly? Do you like to dive? What do you
So
like to do?
my brother-in-law is a pilot, and a private pilot. He has his private pilot's license. So my sister um, got me some hours because I expressed interest in it. So I did go in the air a couple of times, but like just a couple of times. What I noticed was you spend more time prepping to get in the air than you spend in the air.
Let me tell you something. Flying, it's about planning and preparing for things to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The actual flying, easy, very little. It's the
Yep.
training. It's all about what do you do if things go wrong? Is this equipment working? Check it again. Make sure that that is operational, and then you can go. But the actual flying, it's not that complicated.
Yep. Well, it seemed pretty complicated to me. I didn't get to do much. Like I didn't get to take off and I didn't get to land. Like the actual pilot got us in the air, and then he's like, "All right, well now you can turn and you can do this,"
Yeah,
and then he landed. But my she got me those lessons like when I was right out of college, and was pretty broke, and it's not cheap to take those lessons. So after I used the hours that she gave me, I like did it once more on my own, and I was like,
mhm.
you know what, maybe when I have some money someday I'll do this. And I've always thought maybe someday I'll come back and do it, but I haven't, not yet.
Yeah, it's really time consuming too. You have to stay on top of it. Yeah, my medical is expired right now, so I wouldn't be able to go up. I'd have to do some training and get my medical up to date. The license never expires; it's the medical that expires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
maybe someday, like I say, that mythical retirement date that
right.
seems a million years away. Maybe someday, if I retire, I'll do that.
Yes, yeah.
So let's see. God, there's so much here. Uh, and where have you been diving? Like, when's the last time you went diving?
I think my last super fun, amazing dive was in Easter Island, um, middle of nowhere with those Y heads. You
Yeah,
know those.
yeah. Stonehenge.
It's, it's not. It's like Stonehenge, but it's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, south of
Oh,
Hawaii,
okay.
and it's like 8 hours from Chile. So west of South America, Chile, and south of Hawaii, middle of freaking nowhere. Well, they have the heads under the water too. That was pretty cool. I
What?
don't know how they
Wow.
got there. Yeah, I don't know how they got there. I don't know if they were put there on purpose or if they just ended up there because they rolled. I don't know, but they're there as well. So that was a pretty cool dive.
Yeah, I
It
bet.
was interesting.
Did you get some good
Another
pictures?
memorable. I did not. I did not. I wasn't. When I went there, I wasn't. I didn't go there to dive, so I didn't have equipment to take picture. But another memorable dive that I had was a diving accident in Thailand where I ran out of air
Oh, no.
coming back from a deep dive. So we had been on a deep dive, and when you come back up, you can't just ascend. You have to decompress. You have to wait for the uh, the name escapes me, but it's some kind of chemicals inside of you to dissipate, and you cannot ascend. And I had noticed some problems, and this is totally my fault. Noticed some problems throughout the dive, so I was the last one to get into the water. But before I went in, my there was a problem with my equipment. I lost air. I thought I was still very good, but I did go into the water with less air than most people did. And then I missed a check when we were down in the deep. I missed a check of how much air I had. So I didn't check in with the group and the dive master. And so when I was ascending, I noticed I wasn't getting air. So dive buddy was his first dive, and I thought, okay, I cannot go to Robbie. I don't want to traumatize him. There's a process procedure for it, but I didn't want to traumatize it. So I went to the dive master and I showed him my gauge was almost empty. And he's like, okay, no problem. Here's my auxiliary. I was like, okay, I'm going to take his auxiliary. I'm going to hang out here until we can decompress and go up and ascend. And that's when my problem started. I was so calm until then. I was following procedure. But when I started breathing, I was getting very little air. And I am sucking up for the life of me and like not getting air. And I'm thinking, I'm going to pass out here. And I could see the surface and I could not ascend. And all I could do was hang on to that the breathing thing and try and not pass out. And I'm thinking I'm gonna die. I'm gonna see my family again. Life is over. But then I don't know how long I was in that state. It felt like a lifetime. And then we could ascend, and I did not die.
Oh my
And
God. Have you been back since then?
I have been back since, got back on a horse.
Oh, wow. Good for
But
you.
uh, but It was really amazing. And I don't know, Brian, if it was a lack of oxygen to my brain or if it was like I was born again and life changed. But when I got back to the island, everything was bright. The trees were alive. The sky was so blue. The food tasted amazing. It was, like I said, I don't know if I renewed my appreciation of life or if it was the lack of oxygen.
It was a spiritual experience.
It really was. It really, really, really was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I am a lot more careful diving now with my equipment and following procedure. But I also appreciate that I was able to not panic, not panicking. I'm proud of myself for not panicking.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it.
Me too.
Um, so
Yeah.
what's a lesson you've learned personally or professionally that you wish every lawyer or entrepreneur would hear?
I think it's that you never stop learning and that you have to stay humble and open to learning. Um, I know in my area of law, I will always learn something new. And sometimes I learn new things from students or brand new lawyers, and it changes everything. So I think you have to stay open and stay humble to learning, but also to find a purpose. I was lucky to find my purpose to be of service. And once you find that one thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, that is happiness.
Yeah. No, that I agree. Um, I think I have a few things that get me out of bed in the morning aside from my job.
And the
Two
dog.
of them are my and the dog. But I do have with respect to my kids. I have kids. I have two a boy and a girl. So that and then my wife too. But um, actually, if you're listening, baby, my wife first, and then everything else. um,
Yes. Yeah.
well, Lucy, I'm so glad you were able to take some time out of your very busy schedule. I'm so glad you survived your diving mishap and that you could be here and tell me about it. And I hope to see you in real life again, maybe at some other kind of networking event or
Yes.
just whatever, because I really enjoyed visiting with you today and hope to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you so much, Brian. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for creating this amazing space for us to talk.
Of course. All right. Well, have a great week, Lucy.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.